Welcome to SmackDown Radio, a very special SmackDown Radio WrestleMania edition. We're doing preview and predictions. I am your host, Brother Bob. With me, as special guest for this show, Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Hey, thanks for joining me, man. Travis has had a rough weekend, not doing too well, so we haven't got anything shot. So need to get this knocked out, man. WrestleMania is coming up, and it's exciting.
Yes, it is.
It is quite exciting. So, I don't know. What do you think of the build thus far?
The build's been interesting. A lot of twists and turns, and a lot of interesting surprises, and hopefully the big payoff comes this Sunday.
Absolutely. I was mentioning to you before the show that I realized that it was both April Fool's Day and the go home for Raw tonight.
Yeah.
And man, let's just hope maybe Vince didn't make his plane, because man, the shenanigans that could occur tonight, I don't think anyone's ready for.
Well, and it's like I even told you, maybe it's a good thing it's on Monday and not Tuesday on SmackDown, because with all the stuff that's going on with Kofi Kingston.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're doing a contract signing on SmackDown, and people have already been on Twitter with their, contract signing for Kofi. That means Kofi's gonna have to beat half the roster to sign a contract. Yep. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, hopefully they don't go that route. It's been a little bit convoluted.
Yeah.
Over the last few months. I think we could have got to these matches a whole lot easier and made everybody look a whole lot better had we done things different. But here we are. Looks like the majority of the matches are set. We were discussing the fact that there are no tag matches yet announced.
Yeah, that's a little bit odd, considering the revival threw a fit quite a few months ago about the direction of the tag team division. And so if there's no tag team title matches, I think there's going to be a lot of backlash from that.
Yeah, and they're helping make AEW look correct in the things they said. They said they wanted to make this the AEW tag team heavy. They wanted to focus on that tag division. They mentioned that they wanted to focus on the in-ring work and giving people time and on the workers. And here we are at WrestleMania, and we got a dozen or so matches already announced. If they do announce 2 tag matches, that bumps that up 2 more. They haven't done anything with the tag division the whole lead into Mania. Using basically the tag division as a gimmick to get Kofi into his match. It just makes AEW look competent in what they've been saying. So you would think that Vince would be doing the opposite, especially with that report that Jericho is not allowed to attend WWE stuff. You would think that they would do better trying to discredit those claims of AEW, but they just haven't. So
and the other thing I guess that's disappointing to me is you have teams like the Usos and the Hardys that should be having massive builds going into WrestleMania. Absolutely.
Remember how big deal that Hardy Bucks match was a few years ago, and how a big deal it was when they showed up at Mania, and now they're just relegated to just barely being used.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a sad situation, but we do have some exciting stuff, man. There is some stuff going on in WWE that should be good. We got a plethora of matches. They're saying 8 hours.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm really, really glad I didn't buy tickets. I mean, the price was one thing. I wavered. I was like, well, I really would like to see Becky Lynch win the championship. Technically, I can do that just by watching it on the network. And then the 8 hour thing, man, I couldn't sit there 8 hours. That's in stadium chairs, or the chairs on the floor, the steel ones. No, that's uncomfortable, and it's just too much. It's just way too much. But
no, I agree with you. That's a lot of wrestling to take in.
It is. Day. Yep. All right. Well, let's discuss these matches here. They're in no real particular order because we obviously don't know what order they're going to be on the card in. So I just kind of put them in here. Building our show as we go through, but the first one, obviously, Andre the Giant Battle Royal. It's become a thing every year. Yeah. Not necessarily that it needs to be a thing, but it is. What are your thoughts on the Andre Battle Royal as a whole?
When it first originated, I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe this will be used to propel somebody.
Yeah.
And so that first year, I got really excited because Cesaro won, and Cesaro's been my favorite wrestler for as long as I can remember. So I'm thinking, oh man, Cesaro's going to finally get propelled into the main event scene. And he did for like a couple months, and then nothing.
Yeah.
And then he gets, he was going back into meaningless matches and thrown into makeshift tag teams. And, granted, he eventually kind of found his like landing spot teaming with Sheamus, but the track record of the Andre the Giant Battle Royal for me is just the winner hasn't done anything. Like they have this like maybe 1 or 2 month like push, and then it just gets derailed for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I mean I think that's the WWE Battle Royals as a whole. We've seen the same thing with the women's Battle Royals they've done. The winner really hasn't received any kind of added push, no title matches. Kind of the opposite of what Battle Royals tend to be. Like you think a Battle Royal style match, you think WrestleMania, you think the Battle Bowl stuff from WCW, you think even AEW at All In, they did the over the budget Battle Royal, and that person got a title shot at the ROH Championship. So they usually your Battle Royals are supposed to build to something like a title shot or a future opportunity to do something. And in WWE, it seems like they've lost the reason for the gimmick.
Yeah,
but
I agree. Yeah. And I don't know. Like to me, if it were me, I guess planning these things, like I would put the Battle Royal right on before the championship match, and then the winner of the Battle Royal gets a title shot at the next pay-per-view. Yeah,
I mean, and that would be great. Or put it on, you could go a route, not use it at Mania, and do a show where you have a women's and men's Battle Royal that open the pay-per-view.
Yep.
And have that be the gimmicks, and then the winners of those matches that night get title shots in the 2 main events. Yeah. And like that, and they could decide which title they wanted to go after, whether it be Raw or SmackDown. That would be an interesting gimmick. It'd be something they haven't done, and that would make use of it. But
they actually did something similar to that. I think it was all the way back in 2012. It was Extreme Rules, I believe. They had a Battle Royal to open the show, and Christian won it, and he got to choose either between Santino and Cody Rhodes, and it was exciting because you didn't know who he was going to choose. Ended up choosing Cody and wound up winning the Intercontinental title. So.
Yep. Yeah, but they haven't done it on like the stage of a world title main event, and and I mean, and then 2 of them, so you're looking, you don't know which, you're like, you would go in saying, well, I don't know whether Brock Lesnar or Daniel Bryan are defending their championship tonight. Yeah. One of them is defending against this guy, and they don't have to let anybody know until halfway through the show, so that'd be interesting. The same would be go for the women's championship, and that would kind of make that show better, but. Yeah, I guess we should go over the list of people who are supposed to be in this Battle Royal. Yeah. Braun Strowman is the first name, obviously, and he's been in some kind of. And I have watched Raw sparingly because I just can't sit through the 3 hours. But it sounds like he's been in a feud with some SNL cast members.
Yes.
Yes.
That's been really weird. Like I don't know how you go from being so close to the Universal title to being in a meaningless like story / match going into WrestleMania. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's because a lot of it comes back to the fact that they wanted to push Roman and they wanted to push Brock, and that means everybody else has to fall by the wayside. I said last year that Braun should have been moved to SmackDown early in the year when that Superstar shakeup happened, because he could have been the one big monster guy on SmackDown, and that would have done him a world of good. And then you could have had a big dude like Brock and bigger guy like Roman, feuding with guys like Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles on Raw would have done those 2 big guys good, because they would have made them look like monsters, and they're beating like super popular guys, and that would have made sense. But they didn't go that route. Instead, they fed Braun to everybody, and now he's in a feud with Colin Jost and Michael Chi of SNL, and yeah, and apparently those guys are supposed to. I mean, they're listed on WWE's webpage as being in this Royal Rumble. So I'm like, all right, if that's the case, that's
great.
Yeah,
if they get in the ring, it makes me nervous.
Yeah, it me as well. I don't need it. Like, there's so many guys on the roster who need like TV time. Like, why are we wasting our time with this? Yeah. But I mean, hell, they should have went after like Will Ferrell or something. I mean, Braun was just in that movie, the Sherlock Holmes movie. Yeah. They could have went after a bigger name if they were going to put like some kind of celebs in this thing. Yeah. But all right, let's see who else we got in this. We got Andre, no longer CN almost, because they stole his name, as WWE does. Yep. Apollo Crews. Yeah. Titus O'Neil, Tyler Breeze, Jinder Mahal. There's a guy who, once again, like you're saying, like, how do you go from like top of the card to like nowhere? Yep. And apparently India wasn't as much of a moneymaker as Vince thought.
Yeah, and to me people might disagree with this, but Jinder really didn't deserve the title.
Yeah, he didn't.
I think it was more of a political move, and I mean, the fact that he beat Nakamura 3 times to retain that title it was just bad all around.
Yeah. And we've seen the reasoning for this for years. Like, we've seen in the 80s, 90s, WWE was in that big push for the UK. Yeah. And they really did push British Bulldog a bunch, and had him, main event matches in the UK and stuff. And then we've seen them push for India here with Jinder Mahal. We've seen them push for. We've seen them in the early 2000s. Mexico was where they thought the money was. So you've seen Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio, and Sin Cara, and like they started trying to bring in all the Lucha Libre style wrestlers. Yep. And now they're on Saudi Arabia as being their thing. So, it's all about trying to break into the other markets. And unfortunately, when that happens, guys like Jinder get put into situations they're really not ready for.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he was ready to be WWE champion.
No, but it is what it is. Now he's on the Andre Battle Royal. So yeah, I'm sure he's excited about that. Yeah. So we also got No Way Jose, who has done nothing since coming up from NXT. Yep. Bobby Roode, who's been relegated to doing next to nothing. Chad Gable. There's one of our tag teams that don't have matches.
Exactly.
Kalisto, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, Heath Slater, Rhino, Connor, Victor of the Ascension. Ali, no longer Mustafa Ali, but just Ali. Shelton Benjamin, the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, the Hardys, Otis, Tucker, and EC3.
The Hardys is what gets me the most.
Yeah, and
how are you going to take 2 future WWE Hall of Famers and stick them what's probably going to be on the pre-show?
Yeah, and so Matt announced he was taking time off. He had this injury, a fusing of his lower vertebrae or something from doing that leg drop. Yeah. How are you going to waste one of his few bump cards he's got left on a freaking Andre Battle Royal, without any real promotion into it?
Well, and to go back to what we were saying earlier, something in me tells me that the SmackDown title match is going to get announced late, and the Hardys get taken off the Battle Royal and into the match.
I would hope so.
That to me is the best case scenario, because
so New Day is not listed in this match. Yeah. New Day did just run the gauntlet on SmackDown over all the tag team champions. I would think that would put them in this title contention, maybe. Yeah. Logically it would, though WWE doesn't always run on logic. Yeah. That was one of my big problems with last week's SmackDown, with the fact that they put New Day in a gauntlet and had them beat everybody except for the Usos. And I'm like, all right, so they should be number 1 contenders. That's what this match should have been about. Like, they just went through the entire SmackDown tag team roster.
Well, see, to kind of what you were saying about that, I think it's going to be played off as the Usos are going to get punished for forfeiting their match or whatever, and then they get stuck against all those tag teams.
Yeah, that could be a thing. I mean, maybe we'll see that this week. So we'll see how that goes. Though, yeah, I could see the Vince forcing the Usos to run that gauntlet this week. I could see that being a thing. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But who do you have in this match? I mean, obviously we don't know everybody who's in it. Who are you thinking might win?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, the most logical answer would be Braun, because he's the most over guy in the thing. But I mean, Andrade needs something big to happen. But yeah, I could see maybe an NXT call up.
Yeah,
like Baron Corbin.
That'd be cool.
Years ago.
Yep.
It's just so tough because you really don't know what direction they're going these days.
Yeah. I mean, there's also Bray Wyatt, who
he could come back.
apparently got a haircut and is dyed it like white, and yeah. So I mean, that might be a thing. Like, we haven't heard anything about him for a while. He's been cleared, so maybe that's his deal.
Yeah. Kevin Owens doesn't have a spot on WrestleMania either.
Yep, that's another name I was thinking. So there's a few names who we can see announced yet this week. And we'll see what happens then. But that's one of those matches that's really hard to call until you know everybody who's in it.
Exactly.
We also have a cruiserweight title match. Buddy Murphy, Tony Nese.
Yeah.
Yep. Have you been watching a lot of 205 Live?
Yeah, I watched the tournament. It's been actually kind of a cool build because Nese and Murphy have been kind of like running mates and training together.
Mm-hmm.
And, Nese decided, hey, I need to do this tournament thing on my own. And he had some really great matches. And he won the tournament, and then Buddy turned on him. It was sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of knew it was coming, but I thought maybe they would have held off on Buddy beating the crap out of him for a little bit. But no, Buddy didn't waste any time as soon as Tony won the tournament. And so I think it's cool that Tony's getting a spot in his home state.
Yeah.
And
that means he's losing, right?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing is like, Buddy won in Australia. But, Tony has a chance to win it in his home state. I don't know. I think Buddy's going to keep it. Buddy's having great match after great match. Like, the dude probably should be on Raw or SmackDown with how good he is. Yeah,
and I mean that's just the thing with 205 Live. Their champion really should be on the main event or like on the main shows like regularly. We look at the history of that belt, and you looked at Pac. Neville was a champ, and he really should have been on that Raw or SmackDown. His top contender through most of that. Austin Aries was the guy who should have been on one of those shows. Like, so yeah, your top guys on 205 who are holding those belts tend to be guys who really should be on the main roster. And I mean, we've seen Mustafa Ali, he's on the main roster and getting actually some TV time and getting some pushes. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of the things. It's unfortunate that 205 Live is relegated to where it's at, and it's kind of like fifth class citizen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but. Yeah. Yep. Well, so yeah, who do you think's gonna go over? Are they gonna be hometown boy or?
I think it's Buddy. I really do. The only way I would say Nese wins is if Buddy does get moved over to Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't see that happening quite yet.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I mean, his title win and his home country that's kind of an outlier. Usually, the hometown guy tends to lose in WWE historically. So unless they reverse that trope, I see that probably being the case again.
Yep.
And so we got Shane and the Miz, the match that I care the very least about in all of pro wrestling right now.
Wow.
Yeah, there's nothing for me. Shane McMahon as a heel is not anywhere close to Vince or Stephanie McMahon as heels. Like,
yeah, I've been saying that. I actually said that in my last blog post. Like Shane is not believable as a heel anymore.
Yeah.
And in the late 90s, yeah, sure, he was, but yeah, to me the role should be reversed.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be more believable and more exciting if the roles were reversed.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the build to this has been weird.
Yeah.
They had Mrs. Dad involved. The tag titles were involved. What a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess. And see, that bothered me, like, at the Royal Rumble, because I love the Bar. The Bar's one of my favorite tag teams. So for them, within a year span, to lose to a ridiculous tag team like Braun Strowman and Nicholas at last year's WrestleMania, and then lose to a makeshift no sense tag team of Shane and the Miz, it just really bothered me. I know they're trying to tell a story, but like to me the Bar has been literally the Bar of the tag team division, other than the Usos and the New Day. So I'll be glad when the story is over and hopefully the Miz will go back to being a heel.
Yeah, because face Miz is also. I mean, heel as bad as heel Shane is, face Miz is just as bad.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Miz is a natural heel. Shane out of the McMahons is the one guy who can really pull off the face role, and it's just it was stupid that they reversed those. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and I don't understand why Shane needs a WrestleMania match when it's full anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I think the Miz will win. Shane's just good for a WrestleMania loss against somebody.
Yep. Yeah, I think we'll see the Miz win, and where they go from there, I'm not sure, but yeah. And the next match is Roman and Drew McIntyre.
That's a good. That to me is a good solid matchup right there.
I think so as well. I'm definitely not a Roman Reigns fan in general, and I'm happy that he's beaten leukemia again.
Yep.
And it's good that he's back in the ring and able to have a career and it's healthy. I'm not a fan of his work. I think he has a look that screams heel, and if they push that, it would do wonders. But the match should be good. I mean, Drew McIntyre is amazing. I've been a Drew McIntyre fan, from the moment he left WWE and when he was in TNA.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was so good there. So hopefully we will see a really good match out of them, and they'll have some time. I mean, on such a heavy card, you never really know where time's going to be cut. So hopefully this match gets a little bit, and we get to see something. And maybe it'll be a feud moving forward. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd like to see them feud maybe for a couple months.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the final match coming at Extreme Rules down the road.
Yeah, that would make sense. They need to do something. The problem with this match is who's going to win. From what we've heard backstage, Vince is super high on Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
But he's facing Roman, who we know tends to beat everybody. It's really hard to pick somebody who they're going to have win this match, especially with Roman having just came back from leukemia. I don't see them having Roman lose, though. I know. Yeah.
And to me, though, if Drew doesn't win this match, I think Drew needs to go over to SmackDown after this.
Yeah.
Because Drew's just getting lost in the shuffle on Raw. And there's a lot of guys on SmackDown that Drew McIntyre would have good matches with.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thought. I mean, maybe this is one of those matches that's going to end in some kind of schmaz. It's going to have a dusty finish of some kind, because I could see them not wanting to have either guy get a loss and then have a rematch at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And I can see that being a thing, especially since bigger guys tend to not do as well in Money in the Bank matches. Yep. So keeping Roman and Drew out of that match because they're in a feud would make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe that's the way we go. But, so we both picked Roman on that one. That seems pretty obvious. Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin, which, if you believe everything online, is going to be anybody but Baron Corbin when this match actually happens. Anybody from Cena to The Undertaker to Kevin Owens to, the names have been running wild online of people who are actually going to face Kurt. I don't know if Vince McMahon's stubborn. Maybe it will be Baron Corbin.
Probably is. I think it stays with Baron.
Yeah,
I like it, but
they wrote themselves into a corner too, telling Kurt Angle he can choose who he wants, and then have him choose Baron Corbin. Because how are they gonna get? How do you get out of that? No. I mean, he can't. It's not like he can be like, "Yeah, I was just kidding."
From what I was told, is that he didn't actually. The words came out of his mouth on a promo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How are you going to write yourself out of that promo of I want to face this guy, and the fans are like, boo, and you're like, no, I'm joking.
To me, and I said this to somebody the other day. There's a big difference between trying to get heel heat and fans not being interested.
Exactly.
I'm not interested. And I had said this to somebody the other day, had Baron Corbin cashed in Money in the Bank, had he had meaningful feuds and matches over the last 2 years and not become a puppet authority figure, I'd be more interested. Go back to being the lone wolf. Quit dressing in corporate clothes.
Exact. If Baron Corbin didn't wear a suit out to the friggin' ring to wrestle, like who does that? Like you look at sports anywhere else, right? So player coaches or like Michael Jordan had ownership in the Wizards and played for the team. He didn't frickin' wear a suit jacket and a tie on the basketball court. He wore like a jersey. Like you're an athlete, you're supposed to wear athletic apparel in your chosen field. Yeah. Like it would be. I mean, since he's allowed to do that, does that mean like Vince can show up to the office rocking like weens? Like I mean weens and kick pads. Yeah. Vince McMahon in the boardroom. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, especially in a company where we've heard about corporate dress code over the years and what people have to wear to the arena to look professional and all this stuff, and then dudes like wrestling matches in street clothes. Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous on so many levels, and it makes him look ridiculous as well. It does. Yeah, but I think Kurt Angle could have had a much better match with a number of people. I think we could have had a really meaningful final match. And I think that's why fans are so upset about this.
Agreed. Like he should have been. I mean, I'm not saying he's Ric Flair.
Yeah,
but he should have gotten Ric Flair treatment.
Yeah, and he should have at least got Shawn Michaels treatment, or because Shawn had a big special last match against Undertaker. Yep. I mean, then again, we've seen how the last couple Undertaker matches have gone. So yeah. I mean, he got that win over Cena. That's probably going to be his last match. Yeah. So, but.
Kurt deserves better.
Yeah, I mean, and they had the guys on the show. They had AJ. They have Shelton Benjamin. They have Samoa Joe. Like they have guys in WWE who's had meaningful feuds over the years in both companies, and both in WWE and in TNA. So they could have went that route, and they chose not to. And that's unfortunate, especially since when we talk about AJ's match, we've already seen AJ's match before. Yeah. So, seeing him and Kurt in WWE was something we never got to see before. We've seen it on SmackDown and ended up in a schmaz. Yep. So, we're just not going to get that match now, and that's a huge bummer.
Yeah, and to me, it's almost like Kurt has to win now because, if Kurt doesn't win, there's no, Baron's just, yeah. I don't know what you do with Baron. Even if he does beat Kurt, where do you go from there?
Yep, exactly. I mean, I don't know. They're just if Kurt had lost to Samoa Joe via submission, that would have really helped Samoa Joe after WWE has just completely ruined his run in the company and done nothing with him. That would be a way to reset Samoa Joe as this badass submission guy, and. AJ Styles, the house that AJ Styles built, SmackDown, him beating Kurt Angle and then, moving to Raw afterwards, that would cement him on Raw. When he goes in, he could be like, not only did I, was I the face of SmackDown, but I beat Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Yeah. It would give him something to really, build him on a different brand. There's a lot of stuff they could have done with other guys. Shelton Benjamin just getting a Mania match would be amazing. They've really misused him since bringing him back. Yeah. And, that's a guy. Shelton Benjamin is my warning to indie guys who are thinking of going to WWE. It's all right, so they're gonna buy up talent, and doesn't mean you're gonna get used. Shelton's an amazing talent who could have been, towards the top of the card in Ring of Honor, could have been having meaningful feuds in New Japan, could have been part of the AEW roster. Yep. But he's in WWE because he signed a contract with them going back, and they said, hey, we're gonna use you, and we're gonna put you on TV, and they've done nothing with him.
My buddy Chase Matthews, who doesn't wrestle anymore on the indie scene, he actually had one of Shelton's last matches before he went back to WWE. And Chase was telling me, the dude can still go. Yeah. The dude's just phenomenal. And to me, I thought maybe they were onto something a couple weeks ago when he faced Rollins, but then that just kind of got thrown to the wayside again. Yep.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't seen the Shawn Michaels Shelton Benjamin match from the early 2000s, yeah, they need to go back and watch that. Find it on the network. Find it on YouTube. Amazing match.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So I'm saying Kurt in this one. I don't put it past WWE to have Baron Corbin win, but if they do, they're going to get booed out of the arena.
For me, the standard's always been if you are leaving, you go out on your back. Mm-hmm. But because there's so little interest in this match, I'm gonna say Kurt's gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, unless they completely change it, which I mean is a possibility yet. We still got 2 more shows before Mania, so
yeah,
and they could just change it on Twitter like friggin' on Saturday if they want to do. Like that's the thing they do now.
Or they change it Sunday.
Yeah, during the show.
Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, Corbin comes out, gets attacked by somebody, they take his spot.
Yep.
Yeah, or Vince comes out and it's like, Baron Corbin, you're out of this match.
Yeah.
Kurt, you're facing Charlotte. Yeah. All right. And so, speaking of Charlotte, she's the SmackDown Women's Champion, which means Asuka and the 4 women who were supposed to fight for an opportunity at Asuka are all in a battle royal. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of talented ladies in that photo, and man, I don't even know.
I'm so angry. I mean, to me, I was really excited for the main event of WrestleMania,
mm-hmm.
the triple threat match. But when you are doing things at the expense of other talent who are just as deserving and just as talented as the other 3, to me, that just is a turnoff. And honestly, the match probably should have been, I've been saying this for a while now, that the match should have been a fatal 4-way with Asuka being involved.
See, and I would have just been happy with a one-on-one match, Ronda versus Becky.
Yep.
Then we could have had Ronda, Becky, Charlotte at Money in the Bank, and went that route. But because then we could have had Charlotte versus Asuka as a singles match as well, or you could have had Charlotte, Asuka, and insert another wrestler. I mean, there's quite a few others on SmackDown who could have had opportunity. The weird thing, so this is the thing I find super weird. So we look at this match and the group of ladies in this. We look at the women's tag matches. We look at the main event match.
Yep.
No Alexa Bliss. She is hosting the show. Alexa Bliss has the most women's championships other than Charlotte and Mickie James, if you count her TNA stuff.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, in the company currently. So I'm like, that's somebody who you would expect to be involved in something and hosting the show.
Well, I think they've been trying to protect her because she's had a couple injuries recently.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that, but at the same time, you got Matt Hardy taking bumps in a friggin' Battle Royal. So, I mean, you couldn't find Alexa a spot in this Battle Royal. You couldn't find her, a spot in a tag match where she could be protected on the outside for the majority of it.
I thought her and Mickie would have been great for that fatal 4-way tag match.
Absolutely. I mean, more Mickie James, the better. So, I mean, I'm all about that. I've been following Mickie since she was Alexis Lurie and wrestled in WEW and TNA as part of Raven's Nest, Raven's Flock, whatever they went by. Yeah. Yep. Her, Julio De Niro, and CM Punk.
Yes,
yep.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, no, I would have loved to see them take. And I'm a huge Alexa Bliss fan too. So hopefully we see her back doing something meaningful post Mania.
I would if Becky wins the Raw Women's title, which I think she will, I wouldn't mind seeing a Becky-Alexa feud again.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them move Alexa. If Becky ends up on Raw, I wouldn't mind seeing Alexa move over to SmackDown, where she can shine a little bit more.
Yeah.
I definitely need to see them split Becky and Charlotte up. They need to be far away from each other for a good couple years, but. We can talk more about that when we get there. The other name in this one, who I'm shocked that they haven't done anything with up to this point, is Ruby Riott.
Yeah.
I mean, God, I love Ruby Riott. And Ruby Riott should be fighting for... Well, I mean, they have a tag titles. The Riott Squad should be fighting for those.
I agree.
And beyond that, Ruby should have had a title opportunity already on one of the shows, for the Women's Championship. She's talented enough. She's got a faction behind her who can have screwy finishes and to distract her opponent, and you can do all those shenanigans without having to write yourself into a corner like they have had to with the women's matches thus far. It just seems like it's a natural fit to put her into a title picture, and they just haven't done it.
Yeah, the problem Problem with the women's division right now is the focus is on maybe like 5 people.
Yeah.
Ruby Riot's one of the most talented workers I've seen like on TV. You know, I've seen her on the independent scene in the past. And so I'm hoping once they get through this Ronda Rousey phase, and if Ronda takes time off like she says she is, I'm hoping people like Ruby Riott and her faction and, you know, the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville's of the world start getting pushed more often.
Absolutely. Sonya Deville's another one who can really go, and it would be nice to see her. I'd like to see her in a match with Ronda. I'd like to see her in a match with Shayna Baszler when they bring her up. Like those, all 3 of those ladies are you know, legit shooters and can go. So it'd be good to see. Who do we think's gonna win this Battle Royal?
To me, after you screwed over Asuka of a title match, it's got to be Asuka.
If it's not Asuka, I mean, what are they thinking?
I
I
don't know. Maybe Asuka wins. This propels her back into the title picture, which honestly she should never be out of anyways. But maybe my weird prediction is that Charlotte's got all this hype going into WrestleMania. She doesn't win the Raw Women's title, and then she loses the title back to Asuka the Tuesday after Mania.
Yeah, maybe.
That was my bold prediction going into it.
Yeah. We'll see. Like, so what I'd like to see in this one, which I think would be really cool in this one, is your final 4 in the ring are the Riot Squad and Asuka.
Yeah.
And Asuka has to fight off the Riot Squad. And then to make the Riot Squad not look weak, she eliminates Sarah Logan, she eliminates Liv Morgan, and then gets eliminated by Ruby Riott. Well, the other 2 are distracting her, so it doesn't make Asuka look weak. Yeah. She does have to lose. You get a big win for somebody like Ruby Riott. Asuka doesn't look weak. Maybe those 2 can fight over the opportunity at the title or whatever for a month or so, and then send one of them after the championship. That would be nice to actually see them use this to build something. Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. They're probably just going to have Asuka win, and she's probably going to eliminate, Naomi. Yeah. That's probably.
We're thinking that same thing.
Yep. That's probably where it's going to go. So, all right. Intercontinental title. I'm so confused. So Finn Balor was IC champ.
Yep.
They take the belt off him and put it back onto Bobby Lashley, and all the rumor and speculation going around on the internet was that there was this big plan for Finn Balor at WrestleMania. And now we got him facing Bobby Lashley for the IC title. I'm like, all right, well.
That's the big plan. This is the demons coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Though that could have happened with him as champion. And, I don't know. A lot of people was hoping it was going to be on him and the Undertaker. And I'm like, it wasn't going to happen.
No.
Would have been nice. But, it's one of the things where every Undertaker rumor that comes out for the last 5 years have been like, well, that would have been really good if they did that last year. It's like, even with like Sting, like they were like, oh, it's going to be Sting and the Undertaker when that rumor really started flying. And I'm like, yeah, they probably should have done that last year when he fought Triple H before, he got injured by Seth Rollins. Yeah. That would have been a good idea. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, it's going to be Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. And I was like, well, they should have probably done that before they ruined Bray Wyatt. I'm like every time those rumors start, it's they done that last year. Yeah. So Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, Finn's going over, right? Yeah, I mean,
I think that's the big plan, is to bring the demon out, have some really cool entrance, and I don't know what they're doing with Bobby Lashley though. Like, I was happy for him when he won the Intercontinental title. I think it was great, but there was another guy that was promised a lot of things.
Yep.
And he's not getting what he was promised.
Yeah. Like Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match was supposed to happen at some point and still hasn't.
Hopefully it does. I mean, there could always be SummerSlam, but Lashley's another guy, came back with all this hype.
Yep.
And what's messed up about it is I remember how it all went down too. Last year's Extreme Rules, he beat Roman Reigns clean in the middle of the ring.
Yep.
Next night, number 1 contenders match, to Brock Lesnar. Roman wins, and then Lashley just goes downhill from there.
Yep, it's that 50-50 booking. It's it doesn't, and that's the only reason he beat Roman. They're like, oh, we got to have Roman win tomorrow, so we're gonna have Lashley beat him tonight. Yeah, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Yeah.
So I think Finn wins here.
Yep. yeah, I feel bad for Bobby Lashley. He was really, really good during his TNA/Impact Wrestling run, and WWE's mismanagement has been pretty blatant there. But Finn Balor as some variant of the Demon. We'll see if he does something comic booky or not. That's been a thing he's liked to do, so we'll see. But all right, the United States Championship. This should be good and fun and different. Like, kudos to WWE putting a couple guys together who I don't remember ever fighting.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's first.
Yeah, I'm like that's good. I enjoy that, and as we mentioned, lots of love for Samoa Joe.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio obviously is a legend.
Probably the greatest cruiserweight of all time.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely in that conversation. I mean it's him, Ultimo Dragon. I mean, and especially for guys who haven't really transcended. So yeah, he's been WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
But he's still a small cruiserweight type guy. He still wrestles that style. Yep. You've seen guys like Jericho kind of transcended from like his cruiserweight style to more of a less of a cruiserweight catch can style to more of a heavyweight technical style. So you've seen a lot of cruiserweights kind of change over the years to do that, when they got older to protect their bodies. But
changed.
No, Ray still does those top rope moves. He's still super quick in the ring. And I mean, other than Ultimo Dragon, and maybe Jushin Liger, like those three guys, and even Jushin's slowed down a lot. Yeah. But yeah, those guys I think are in your top tier 3 for your best cruiserweights ever.
Yeah,
but and then Samoa Joe's just a monster, man. Yeah. Like, God.
Finally, he got a title run of some sort.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it took him long enough. Like that guy should have got a title win when Jinder Mahal was champion. Like, that's the guy who should have been carrying the belt.
Yep.
But yeah, it's good to see him doing something. Maybe they'll actually make this U.S. title worth something again, considering they've dropped the ball on it since AJ lost it.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes. The question is who wins this match?
Well, I don't know. I think you're going to see something kind of fishy tomorrow night.
I just hope Dominic doesn't turn heel, because I don't care.
I think something big's going to happen with it. Tomorrow night, Ray is supposed to take on Andrade again.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Dominic's sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
So my thing is Andrade's going to do something to him to get inserted into the match.
Okay.
Or during the match, Samoa Joe's going to come down and choke Dominic out.
Yeah, I
gets the heel heat.
Yeah, I can see Joe coming down and choking out Dominic. That would make a lot of sense. And hell, I mean, as long as they don't put Dominic's adoption papers on the line or something, we'll be
we're beyond that now. Dominic's in training, so I'm kind of excited to see what happens with him.
I've been waiting for the fans to start chanting Eddie when Dominic comes out.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, they haven't done it, so I'm like, all right, well, okay, fair enough. I guess either no one remembers it or nobody wants to, which is completely fair on the second part.
Yep.
But all right, I think Joe's gonna come out with the win here in this. Really? Yeah, I don't foresee. I don't know how you're gonna. Well, we've went through this so far. You got a lot of faces winning, and Joe really needs to continue the momentum.
Yeah.
And a win here for Joe. Tapping Ray out. Ray going for a Hurricanrana or something, and Joe turning that into a muscle buster, or just he goes for Hurricanrana. He locks in the Kakita clutch. Yeah. Something of that nature. The reversal to Ray's quick moves, I think, would be really good. I think it'd work real well for the storytelling purposes, and would keep the heat on Joe.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Joe, think about it. This is Samoa Joe's first WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to be on a couple other ones, but he's been injured. So I kind of have to agree with you on this one. I think Samoa Joe needs to win here more. I mean, Ray's had his time, and Ray's obviously still going very strong.
Yep.
But Joe definitely needs to win here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that one. But all right, we got the women's tag team match, which only one team in the tag team match has a tag team name, which I find weird. And it's weird hearing them announce it too, because they announced everybody. It's like Bayley and Sasha, Tamina and Nia, Beth and Natalia, and the Iconics. I'm like, really, guys? You may as well just said both their names. I mean,
the Iconics have the marketing name, but I mean, Beth and Natalia call themselves the Divas of Doom. Sasha and Bayley call themselves the Boss and Hug Connection.
Yeah.
So Tamina really
no one's meaner than Tamina.
Yeah. The Samoans don't really have a real marketing name like the other ones do.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's weird. I don't understand the reason to put Beth and Natalia in this.
I think it was supposed to be originally Trish and Lita.
Yeah.
And for some reason they're not wanting to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their backup plan.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, why not put both of them in the Battle Royal then, and bring up the interest in the Battle Royal by having a legend in it, and then making this triple threat match, and I mean, or putting the Riot Squad in it, or there's just so many things that could have been done different. But
well, the other thing was too is, they said the titles could be defended down in NXT at some point.
Yep.
Why not bring up the Pirate Princess and Io Shirai?
Yeah.
And make use of that tag team.
Yep. I mean, there's so much. And I mean, what a lot of people were hoping was going to happen is we were going to see Sasha and Bayley defend on NXT at TakeOver and then have to defend at Mania as well. And I'm like, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been.
Especially if they dropped it at one of the two.
Yeah, that would have been different. But I think you will see Sasha and Bayley defend at the next TakeOver. Mm-hmm. The next TakeOver is in San Jose, which is Bayley's hometown.
Yeah, and then they lose there.
They could. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see those belts properly defended and properly managed, where the men's tag titles really haven't been. And so I have high hopes. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah. Do we think so? You're thinking Bayley and Sasha are coming out as winners in this?
Yeah. I don't see. This is the first time the titles are being defended at WrestleMania.
Yep.
Sasha and Bayley have a lot of momentum going right now. The other three teams aren't really. I'm not feeling the other three teams too much. Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Tamina and Nia, really. I like the Iconics, but I think they haven't had enough TV time and enough, to put the belts on them. Obviously, Beth isn't a full timer, so it just makes sense that it's going to be Bayley and Becky.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. All right, it's the Marvel Comics match between Jocko Grimwood and Drax the Destroyer. Triple H, Dave Bautista.
It's funny you said the Miz and Shane match did nothing for you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this match.
Yeah, there are so many people I'd rather see Batista face. I mean
that, but I'm actually more of the other side. There's more people I'd rather see Triple H face.
I like the stipulation that Triple H retires if he loses.
Ain't gonna happen.
I really wish he would lose. It would make for this match being something important. It would there's no reason to see this match otherwise.
No. They're about 10 years too late.
Yeah. Dave was adamant that he wanted another match against Triple H. Having talked with him at C2E2 in Chicago last year, and pitching him some ideas of hey, New Japan's paying pretty good and they got some good wrestlers and that'd be cool. And he was like, man, if I'm coming back, I want to face Hunter. That's my thing. That's what I want to do. And, we've heard it in the dirt sheets and, here we are. So I don't know. It's just, it's a bit underwhelming. We'll have to see what happens.
There's a reason it's a gimmick match.
Yeah.
Because it ain't going to be no 5-star classic.
No. Yeah, I think Triple H is, at the age where he's not putting on the style matches anymore. Batista having, being a part-timer, barely a part-timer, being pretty much in Hollywood most of the time.
One-timer.
Yeah. It's gonna be probably a short match. At least I hope it's a short match. I hope they don't go long with this one because there's no reason to.
Maybe 10 minutes is all they should be going.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes. I want both guys to look good, but at the same time, there's so many other people. This is such a long card.
To me, for me personally, the thing about Triple H and all these other guys, I started losing a little respect and started getting turned off on these guys when I watched Crown Jewel last year. Mm-hmm. I saw DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. I'm like thinking to myself, man, 20 years ago, this has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it was absolute garbage. And I'm sorry, like, you can talk nostalgia all you want, but nostalgia is not going to outweigh if the match is garbage or not. And to me, the match was garbage.
Absolutely.
So I honestly have not wanted to see Triple H in the ring. But, I mean, to me, if Triple H is going to go against somebody that can carry a match.
Yep.
Like an AJ Styles, or if you're gonna face anybody from Evolution, Randy Orton.
Yeah, and I mean, and they could have went that route where they could have had, put Randy versus Batista instead, having Triple H be like, "Hey, I don't do this anymore. I'm a COO. It's WrestleMania weekend. I got more important shit to do. Yeah. You're gonna face Randy Orton." They could have went that route, which would have freed AJ Styles out for Kurt Angle, and we would have seen one less match, and everything would have been great. Yeah. But no. I'm as much as I hope Batista gets the win, it's probably going to be Hunter.
I mean, figure Triple H has never beaten him on pay-per-view, so that's another thing you got to factor in.
Yep, and as we've seen, Hunter will beat anybody regardless of how bad it is for business with how he beat Sting at Mania. So
that was the one match that I don't think Triple H should have won.
Yeah, I mean that with Overbooked, it was
fun.
A cluster.
That was nostalgia I could get behind, only because like DX and NWO's roles were very limited.
Yeah, except for NWO never should have saved Sting, because I mean maybe NWO Wolfpack had it not been Hogan and Hall and been like Conan and Luger or something, but like the NWO shouldn't have saved Sting. They were like mortal enemies, and then Sting shouldn't have shook Triple H's hand afterwards after he cheated. Like there was a lot of stuff in that match that was a problem. Yeah. So, but yeah, Hunter going over again.
Agreed.
Yep, get out the shovel. So this should be good, right? I mean AJ Orton, I don't foresee this being a bad match.
No, this could honestly be a show stealer, honestly.
Yeah. My only problem is I've seen it. And it was good when I seen it. Like the match AJ and Orton had, AJ faking Orton out with the phenomenal forearm, and Orton going for that RKO and nobody being there to catch. Yeah. And I mean, it was a really good finish. It's going to be hard to top their previous match. But, so this is where we're at. We have this match, and I don't know who we think is going to go over. I mean,
it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Randy's winding down. AJ just signed a new contract.
Yeah.
So I gotta say Styles is going to wind up winning this match.
But do we think that the fact that Styles beat Orton last time?
I don't think it matters.
No? Okay.
I think Vince McMahon sees a lot of value in AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, AJ is, I think, 2-1 at WrestleMania right now.
Yeah.
So let's mark that up to 3-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what they should do. Hopefully that's what they will do. AJ is my pick as well. I mean, if you notice the T-shirt, big AJ Styles fan. So Ben an AJ Styles fan since WCW, Air Styles and Air Paris with Air Raid. Yes. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see AJ pick up the win here, and then maybe it'll parlay into something moving forward a little more meaningful.
Yeah.
Universal Championship. Seth Rollins versus the Invisible Man, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, that's funny.
Obviously, Seth is winning. Like, right? Like, this is obvious? No?
I did you ever... I'm assuming you've watched it. Did you watch WrestleMania 9?
Yes.
You remember what happened, right?
Yep.
At the very end?
Yep.
I think... And I've had this prediction ever since Roman came back.
Mm.
Even though he has a match now.
They're doing the Yokozuna Hogan Bret Hart.
Yup, I swear Brock is going to beat the living crap out of Seth. Roman's going to come down to check on Seth. Brock's going to be like, okay, well, I'll take you on next. And for some reason, because it's Vince McMahon and how Vince is, Roman is Vince's guy, other than Brock, I don't know, something really fishy is going to happen in this match.
I hope not. I hope not either. I hope it's pretty straightforward. The booking has been so all over the place for everything so far. I just want to see Seth Rollins get the win and move forward. And I mean, I guess if they went that route, they could go the route of then having Drew McIntyre get the win over Roman earlier the night. So then Roman, Brock puts the belt in line against Roman. Roman wins it. Then you could have a Roman versus McIntyre title feud. Maybe that would be okay because it would lead somewhere. But I don't know. There's a lot of people who just want to see Seth win. It's been a long time since he's had the belt.
And he's the workhorse.
Yep. And everybody wants to see it off Brock. So, yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm gonna say, unless there's some kind of shenanigans on the part of Roman Reigns, it's gonna be Seth Rollins. I don't see Brock Lesnar walking out with the title.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, you also got to factor in, for me, the UFC stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's his name? Said he's going to show up at Mania. Cormier.
Season.
Yep.
But with UFC now going to ESPN and strictly being ESPN streaming and pay-per-views and stuff like that, like Dana's going to need people to fill cards. I mean, they're having cards almost every single week now, and so what better guy to draw in people than Brock Lesnar? So I really think a UFC decision might come into play here.
Yeah.
If Brock's agreed to fight for UFC again, I think he loses. If Brock says he don't want to fight no more, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I'm really hoping Seth Rollins wins, but I'm not gonna totally rule out Brock.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm gonna say Seth as a safe bet.
Yeah.
But if Brock does walk out, I won't be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's very little that WWE can do that will shock me. But Seth Rollins. Hopefully, that's the direction that we're going with this.
Yeah.
All right, the WWE Championship match between the most hated environmentalist in the world and the most over former Jamaican in the world.
Yeah.
Kofi Jamaican, everybody crazy. And weird build to this one, man.
It's been a very weird one, but it's gotten a lot of people behind Kofi Kingston.
It sure did, and I'm excited. I really hope they put the belt on him, and it's kind of twofold. Like, this could be the first WrestleMania since like WrestleMania 20, which we don't talk about due to one of the people who won the championship. But the first time since then that you have two champions win that are so over with the crowd that you can have that final WrestleMania moment like that just is like complete positive, glowing endorsement of the company.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kofi and Becky are so very over, and seeing Becky cheer on Kofi on SmackDown this last week and cheer on New Day, having maybe him come out at the end if she wins and having them celebrate in the ring together or something. I mean, that would be amazing. And having, your first black WWE champion who doesn't have like other ethnic backgrounds, being, champ would be a big deal as well. Same year that you have your first women's main event, same year that you have your first non-American in the main event at WrestleMania. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's the question. Why the blue hell haven't they produced that Daniel Bryan championship?
I've been wanting to get my hands on it.
I'm like, I keep going to their webpage, and like with all the WrestleMania stuff, I'm like, oh, they're going to wait and do it as part of their WrestleMania push. Yeah. And it's not there. And I'm like, why aren't you, like, if you sold that for $150 or less, people would buy it crazy. I mean, it's way less money to make a wood and hemp title than it is to make like leather and metal, and I mean, like the cost is way less. You could sell it for less. People who maybe haven't purchased a belt before, this would get them into doing so. Like, it just seems like such an obvious idea, and I'm like, man, why isn't this available? My hope is maybe that it's going to be a surprise at their fan store over Mania, and they'll have them, because if they do, I'll buy one, because that's amazing. But it blows my mind. Yeah. So, I don't know. Do we think shenanigans in this one? Do we think no?
I think before we even get to that, I had to address this because I saw it on the newsstands.
Okay.
The other day, the latest cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
All right.
And I had a picture of Bryan with the new title.
Mm-hmm.
And the headline, said, "Is Daniel Bryan destroying his legacy?" And it went into in depth about him turning heel and him using that belt. And I'm like, that in no way, shape, or form is destroying his legacy. If anything, like this new title run, this new character has actually helped his legacy. And Daniel Bryan, like most casual WWE fans, never watched Daniel Bryan in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
He was like the most like asshole of a heel
Absolutely
you could ever see. And so I'm glad that we're seeing that Daniel Bryan in WWE now.
Yep. I mean, I think we're in this era with all the reality type shows, and he did the Total Bellas and the Total Diva stuff, and he's been on all these reality shows as himself, and everybody's kind of fallen in love with Bryan Danielson, the person. So they forget that this is a wrestling business, and you didn't ever hear anybody ask about The Rock when he went face from being a heel, like, is he ruining his legacy? He was such a good heel. Yeah. You never heard that. You never heard. I mean, you heard it about Austin because his face or his heel run was pretty terrible when he was singing "Kumbaya" with Vince McMahon.
Oh God, yeah.
But I mean, for the majority of your guys, when they make that turn, nobody is saying this is going to ruin their legacy, and it's weird to me that they would say that about Bryan. I also think it's funny that in an era where the Green New Deal is politically a big thing, a lot of people are talking about it's super popular in polls, and WWE's like, all right, we're gonna move forward with a heel who is an environmentalist, and
and the thing of it is, it's so funny because I watched the season finale of Total Bellas, and they addressed Bryan turning heel.
Yeah.
And the excitement and happiness that was in the tone of his voice when he was talking about it. Like a lot of what you see Daniel Bryan in real life is actually in his character.
Yeah.
So to me, it's almost like he's finally being true to himself a little bit.
Exactly. And I think what they should be doing, these magazines, instead of questioning whether it's going to ruin his legacy, is thanking Daniel Bryan. And I will tell you why, as I look directly into the camera. Since Daniel Bryan has become a champion of the planet, since Daniel Bryan has made people aware of the damage that can be done to our environment, the WWE is no longer facing such catastrophes as earthquakes, hurricanes, and typhoons. There has not been any one of those things there since Daniel Bryan has been champion.
Or Texas Tornado.
Or Texas Tornado.
No, I really like the direction that Daniel's been in. Watching him win the title and the way he did was absolutely shocking.
Yep.
Did not see that coming. But over the last month though, it's been Kofi Mania, and I feel like if he does not win the title, the build-up's been for nothing. Yeah,
I agree. I think this is the time. I mean, if there's a time to put the belt on somebody, this is the time. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be another time. If you don't do it now, I think you've ruined the chance to ever do it.
Yep. I agree.
So, I also see Kofi winning this. I think Daniel is so good as a heel. He doesn't need that belt.
Agreed.
And they aren't going to have a fan backlash like they would when he was face if he would have lost the belt.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it solved that problem pretty quick. Yep. And, I think this is an opportunity for them to give us two title matches, maybe 3 title matches that all have champions the fans want and have a feel-good ending to a Mania for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
And the main event, which has had the most awkward build possibly ever for a WWE WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
Man, all over the place. But we're finally there. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see what happens on Raw and SmackDown this week. But Becky Lynch, the man, versus WWE SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair versus WWE Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey. And somehow a championship is on the line. We're not really sure yet based on all of the different reports coming out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've heard all of those.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you, I read very little of what the dirt sheets have to say.
Well, let me break it down for you then here, and we can break it down for our audience. So the rumor that so originally this was for the Raw Women's Championship. Yeah. That's where we were at. Yep. Once Charlotte won, a couple different rumors started. One of which was being that they were going to make this, if whoever Becky pins, she wins their championship. Yeah. But WWE was not going to. It has said they don't want to unify the titles. Yeah. So we know going in that Charlotte and Ronda won't pin each other. Yeah. So if that's the case, then logically, maybe not in kayfabe, but like legitimately, is basically whoever Becky pins, she wins their belt. Yeah. And otherwise, if one of the other ones win the match, no belts change. Yeah. So there was that rumor. There's also that rumor that, well, it's not true that WWE won't unify the belts. They want to unify the belts. They're going to have Becky win and take both titles, and they're not going to unify them where it's going to be one title, the Universal Women's Championship or whatever. It's going to still be two belts. She'd have to defend both of them. Wow. That could be a thing. That could happen, I guess. It really depends. They've done that before. With some wrestlers where they've won two championships and then drop one fairly quick because of shenanigans or whatever. Yeah. So I mean they could go that route, or they could just not have Charlotte defend at all and it just still be for Ronda's championship and then Becky or Ronda win. The rumor is that Becky, if Ronda is leaving after Money in the Bank, Becky will pin Ronda for the Raw Women's Championship, and Becky goes to Raw. Charlotte stays on SmackDown with the SmackDown Women's Championship. If Ronda's not leaving, if Ronda's staying after Money in the Bank, they're going to have Charlotte be the one to take the pinfall. Becky wins Charlotte's championship, stay on SmackDown as the Women's Champion there, then Ronda would stay as Women's Champion on Raw. And the rumor is that specific rumor is because they don't know what Ronda's doing yet. She hasn't made a decision as far as whether or not she's staying or going after Money in the Bank.
Well, she better get on board or figure out what she's doing fast.
Yeah. I guess the idea is if she doesn't tell them by Mania, they'll probably just take it off her anyway. But by playing it safe. Yeah.
It's one of those things, like same thing with Kofi. Like if you don't pull the trigger on this with Becky, like you're either going to lose a lot of momentum or you're going to get a lot of backlash. Yeah, I'm sure Becky's walking out as the winner of the match. I just don't know which belt she's going to win or what the rules are going in. I think it's Raw.
Okay, well.
I think it's Raw, and I still maintain my theory that Charlotte's going to drop the title back to Asuka after Mania.
Now, do you think Becky's going to win that Raw Championship by pinning Charlotte or by pinning Ronda? Or submitting Charlotte or submitting Ronda, whatever? Yeah. Who's she gonna get the win over?
This would be weird. I could see Charlotte getting Ronda into the figure eight, and then Becky covering Ronda, and Becky getting the win, but with Charlotte's help.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of people had argued that the reason Charlotte was put into the match was to eat the pinfall. Charlotte's put in the match to eat the pinfall. This way they can keep Ronda, looking strong and undefeated and blah, blah, blah. If any of those other rumors I mentioned have come to pass, then that, thought process goes out the door because, the possibility that Ronda's going to get pinned anyway. Yeah. So, it's an interesting situation to be in. There's a whole lot of questions going into this Mania match where there usually isn't the week before Mania. Usually your main event is pretty locked in and set. We'll see what happens over to Raw and SmackDown, but I foresee Becky winning. I'm just not sure who she's going to pin or submit or whatnot.
Well, the one big rumor I keep hearing about, and it's not just on the dirt sheets, it's on Twitter, it's on Reddit and everything else, is that Becky wins the Raw Women's title. Sasha and Bayley keep the tag titles. Charlotte now has the SmackDown title. And the 4 horsewomen of WWE celebrate and close the show. Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if I see Charlotte celebrating with Becky
I could.
In that when Charlotte loses that match.
Charlotte, though.
They've done a lot of weird things with Charlotte. I think Charlotte could do very well with a losing streak. They put six months of Charlotte losing big matches over and over again, and then having somebody she's fighting come out and call her on that, being like, you lose constantly, you've lost your flair, and then letting her fight her way back into like the winning column and whatnot. I think that she could do that would do great for her character. I feel she's gotten stale to me, and I mean that's just gonna happen when you see the person. She's had 8 title runs? 8
titles, yeah.
That's a lot of championships in a short amount of time. I mean, like I said, you look at the next most. It was Alexa Bliss has 5, so that's way off. You look at, and then after that, you got what? Naomi's got 2.
I think Sasha has 3 or 4.
Sasha has 4. Bayley's only got 1. Asuka's only got 1.
Nia's got 1.
Natalia's got 2. Like, that's all like 1 and 2s, and I'm like Charlotte's got 8,
and there's some that don't even have none.
Yeah, there's a lot of them who haven't even had opportunity. So it's just the difference between. I mean, I seen someone post on Facebook about like, oh my God, I'm so sick of Becky and Charlotte. Can't they give somebody else the belt? Becky and Charlotte have had it so many times, and I'm like, Becky's had the women's championship 2 times in her career. And that includes NXT, because I'm not counting NXT in these, but when you add the NXT one, you got like Charlotte with NXT champion, Asuka with NXT champion, Sasha was you have a bunch of ladies.
Won the NXT women's title.
Nope.
No, so
I mean, you can't even add that to her list.
Well, and the thing of it is like, between Becky's first title run and second title run was a long period of time.
Absolutely, and her second title run was super short.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't make the argument that they were making the argument that Becky and Charlotte are as bad as Roman Reigns, and if it was Roman Reigns, everybody would be booing them. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, Becky hasn't had this push. Becky's had that 6-month push, a 6-month like super hot face push. To the level of Daniel Bryan or Stone Cold Steve Austin. The huge difference. I mean, Stone Cold's run, if you look back at it, was only a couple of years on top, but like Stone Cold felt like the top guy in WWE. You look back and you think, man, Stone Cold was the top guy forever. He's only a couple years. It's because he was so hot in that role. And that's where we're at with Becky. People are kind of misremembering things just because of how over she is as champ. Yeah. But
my biggest problem, and going back to what we talked about earlier, is I felt like they used Asuka as a pawn in this whole entire thing.
Yep.
I mean, like, if you didn't have any major plans for Asuka, she shouldn't have won the title to begin with.
Absolutely.
And then, like I said, where it's been all over the place is then you have Asuka tap out Becky at the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, if you didn't have any real plans for Asuka going into WrestleMania, should have kept her out of the Triple Threat TLC match. Should have had her tap out Becky at the Royal Rumble, and she shouldn't have lost to Charlotte again.
Agreed. They could have went about this with simply Becky retains against Asuka.
Yeah.
Right. When it's SmackDown Women's Champion. Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Charlotte says, "I want to face Becky for the championship." Right. She's gonna be the heel that's like, I already beat Ronda Rousey. I beat her up at the whatever pay-per-view Survivor Series. I don't need to face her again. I want to face Becky, and then Ronda can be like, oh, that's because you're a coward, Charlotte Flair. And then Becky can be like, well, I don't want to face Charlotte. I want to face Ronda. Ronda owes me a match still. That's how they could have got to this triple threat match with both belts. Yeah. It would have been way less convoluted. It would have been a lot simpler, straight shot to the match they were going for, and it wouldn't have made Asuka look as weak as it did.
Yeah,
Agreed. So yeah, it was just it's bad booking. Hopefully we stop seeing so much of that. Like I was thinking we were going to. They started mentioning the guys they were bringing in to the writing team. Brother Love being back, Bruce Pritchard. I was hoping maybe that was going to fix some of this stuff, but it almost seems like it's gotten worse with all the Kofi stuff they've been doing. Yeah. So, and I don't know how much input he has onto SmackDown compared to Raw or whatnot, but I really hope post WrestleMania season we kind of see things be less ridiculous, a little more straightforward, a little more common sense. I know wrestling is a soap opera. I know WWE is sports entertainment and not pro wrestling per se, but at the same time I really want to make sense of what I'm watching. There are reasons I didn't get into a lot of the TV shows other people did because they didn't make sense. Things like Lost eventually just ending weird. Like there's a lot of like TV programs that I'm like I can't watch because it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And WWE's in that ground now. They're following suit, and I would prefer a little more sports in my entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you also got to factor in now, a week after WrestleMania, Superstar Shakeup is coming.
Yeah, yep. And do we think there's going to be 2 Superstar Shakeups? I guess that's the question. There's rumor that there might be a second one just before the new TV deals kick in.
Yeah, I could see maybe right after SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Getting ready for the Fox move.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's rumors of Fox going to have SmackDown go to 3 hours, which... To me, Raw should go back to 2 hours.
Yes.
SmackDown should stay 2 hours.
Yeah.
And call it good.
Absolutely. Or, I mean, maybe even go the route. And what would have been real smart is for Fox to say, all right, we want 2 hours of SmackDown, and then after or before SmackDown, we want 205 Live or NXT or something that's an hour-long show. Because then you get a different roster, and that'd be fine. I guess we'll see. We're going to see what happens with these like joint pay-per-views and stuff too. The rumor out there was that Fox doesn't want to co-promote with USA, and USA doesn't want to co-promote with Fox. They want their own rosters separate, and so maybe the separate pay-per-views come back. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work.
I think the separate pay-per-views come back because I think WWE realized they were having too many pay-per-views and there wasn't enough build-up for things.
I think they need. I think they'd be fine doing it if they do. They swap them every other month, yep. And then they have WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam, be there 4 that both pro shows are on. And they get rid of these gimmick pay-per-views. Yeah. We don't need a Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. Use Hell in the Cell as a match on one of the other shows. Yeah. You don't need a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Your Money in the Bank, you could have 2 Money in the Bank matches. You could do one on like the pay-per-view before SummerSlam, and then one on the pay-per-view after SummerSlam, and then one will be a Raw pay-per-view, one will be a SmackDown pay-per-view. So you get the matches twice, 2 separate pay-per-views, and they could go that route. I think that would solve it.
I almost wish they'd bring back the Money in the Bank ladder match for WrestleMania.
Me too. Like that
was meaningful.
It would have been better than this Battle Royal. Yep. And I think and they could do 2 of them if they wanted to or whatever.
Yeah. One for the women's, one for the men's.
Yeah. I mean that would be great. Or I mean, they just need to do something more. Maybe they'll eventually move with this Battle Royal to having some meaning to it, and the winner gets something. But which would be cool. I think the Andre Battle Royal, I think the amazing thing with that would be, so your ladder match, you get a contract for any of the world championships. Yeah. I think with the Battle Royal, any non-world championship. So you can go after the tag titles, you can go after the U.S. title, IC title, 205 Live, Cruiserweight title. You could show up in NXT and go after their U.S. title, like any title anywhere in the WWE that isn't a world heavyweight title.
I like that idea.
I think that would be really cool. It'd be different. It would make it wouldn't take away from Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumble you get that world title match. No. So it wouldn't make Royal Rumble less. And it would give a whole lot more, and it wouldn't make a Money in the Bank less, but it would have that stipulation where you could go after, any time you want. Yeah. So you could just be like, hey, I'm going to cash this in. You could have, Zack Ryder win the thing and have him cash in for the NXT US title if you wanted to, just randomly. Yeah. There's so many options. So Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
but
hopefully, I mean, like, there's a lot of good matches on this year's WrestleMania, but then I feel bad for the guys and girls who deserve meaningful matches, and they get stuck with nothing. I think they need to put, like you said, on these battle royals, they need to put something on the line to make it more meaningful. So maybe, going forward, that happens.
Yeah. And I would I'm hoping they get past the part-timers and celebrity stuff.
Yep.
I mean, we could have done without a Triple H Batista match. We could have done without these Saturday Night Live guys being there. With Angle facing Corbin, that's kind of pointless. That's another match that could have then disappeared if we weren't trying to book part-time guys. Yep, Shane match. I mean, there's 4 matches you could have took off this card and cut the show by like an hour.
Well, not even maybe cut the show, but
or provide more time to other people. Yeah. Well, I mean, or even just, because I don't foresee Bobby Lashley and Finn getting a whole lot of time with all the other matches. Like, that match could go longer. I don't foresee them giving a whole lot of in-ring time to Joe and Ray.
I think that match will get more time.
You think so?
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I want to see these guys, have something. I'm really happy that, like, G1 Supercard isn't this full. Like, that's going to give time to the guys to actually have matches and stuff, and I'm excited for that. My worry is, WrestleMania, just all these short matches. We went back, and I've been watching with my son Jordan, who's on the show here fairly often. Yeah. We watched a bunch of past WrestleMania matches, and we watched WrestleMania 20. I think it was WrestleMania 20. Was that the last time Rock and Austin fought?
No, that was 19.
19. Okay. So WrestleMania 19, Rock Austin, last fight. That was only like a 18-minute match or something. It was a really good match, but it was really, really short. And I'm like, you look at their previous matches and how long those matches went, and you're like, the longer these Manias get, the shorter the matches get, and it's unfortunate.
It's funny you say that, because I was actually doing some research, and I went back through every WrestleMania and counted like how many matches were in each Mania.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me that the less amount of matches, the better quality the pay-per-view was overall.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, obviously there'll be some outliers in that, I'm sure, but majority-wise. And I think that's the same with most of the shows. Like, I've seen some New Japan shows that had, really long, really fantastic matches, some of the Kenny Omega Okada matches, and then you compare their matches on those shows to some of those same guys then wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom, and you're like, well, it was better on the other the smaller show because they got more time. Yep. They could tell a story better. The Wrestle Kingdom matches are still phenomenal, but in comparison, just having more time lets the guys do more.
Yeah.
But
so we'll see. I mean, they can learn a lot from this year's WrestleMania, and hopefully they'll next year will be better planned.
Yeah, but that's my hope as well.
I feel like this year's WrestleMania was this really thrown together, very half-assed, if that's the word I want to use.
I think there was a lot of expectation that Undertaker and John Cena and Trish and Lita, as you mentioned, like all these legends were going to be coming back and doing stuff with them. And then when they didn't, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to bring back Beth Phoenix, and we're going to, have Kurt Angle fight somebody, and we're going to bring back Batista. And like they just started panicking kind of in the post Royal Rumble season. Nope. And I'm like, all right, it's a little late to be at this point, guys. Usually Vince has this stuff locked in, and I think Roman's leukemia situation and him having to leave, they didn't know if he'd be back for Mania, which means they had to pivot with their main event idea, because I do remember after last year's Mania, it was said that Brock Lesnar was going to hold the title for the full year, and then Roman was going to beat him for it at Mania. So I think that was the direction they had looked to go in, and they had to change that as well, which is why Seth's in the match. So, there a lot of stuff's happened this year in WWE, and we'll have to see, how things go from here, and see what they manage to put together through the next year. But that pretty much covers our WrestleMania coverage, man. That was a pretty good show. I think we covered everything pretty thoroughly. Yeah, definitely. And we'll have to see how much of those predictions actually come true. Yeah, exactly. But thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you joining us. Anytime. And we'll try to do some more stuff like this in the future. Yeah. I know we're working on some interviews and stuff, and some of that stuff to announce. We are, like I mentioned, myself and the kid, we're going to New York for WrestleMania weekend. We're going to be recording stuff the entire time we're there.
Awesome.
That's going to be amazing. We have, we're definitely doing G1 Supercard. We're doing Bullet Club Block Party. We are heading over to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. We're going to, let people see that. That was obviously famous for being on Comic Book Men. So, yeah. Where can people find you online?
You can find me at hollywoodsworldofsports.com. I'm on just about every social media platform. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Reddit. I've basically worked myself to the bone sometimes. Kind of like you, trying to get stuff out there. This week alone, I'm going to be writing about NXT TakeOver, Supercard, and WrestleMania. And that's just wrestling. I have a lot on my plate this week, non-wrestling wise, since I cover sports as well.
Yeah.
So this week's going to be a pretty intense week for me. But Facebook is where I do a lot of my conversing with people and talking sports and wrestling with people. So make sure you search Hollywood's World of Sports on Facebook, and feel free to talk sports and wrestling with me because I enjoy it and I live for it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and of course we're SmackDown Radio on all of the things. You find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, SmackDown Radio. We're also on Twitch, SmackDown Radio. Twitch, we are not going to be doing any Twitch stream this week. We did our pay-per-view, the WCW Japanese Super Show, Sunday. And with WrestleMania and all of the things this week, I am not recording, obviously, today. We're recording this during the time I normally record. And Thursday, I will be driving to New York. So this week, we will have no Twitch stream. We should be back probably next week, Tuesday, on that. But folks, follow us on all those social media platforms. Be sure to like, subscribe, and too sweet the bell button here on this video, because those really help us, especially those subscriptions. It'll allow us to do more things and bring you more content in the future. And thank you for joining us. This has been our WrestleMania preview and prediction show. I've been your host, Brother Bob. This is Joey Hollywood from Hollywood World of Sports. And thanks for joining us, folks.